stopped. Get him stopped.
God and Moses both in a sidecar could not drive a sprint car with 1,000 horsepower.
I swear to God, he done a double somersault backwards.
My car won't go past wide open.
My 50,000 came in a Twinkie box.
You know, I get my jollies off over looking at a nice car wash.
You know he's going to crash your shit, but he's still got great stories.
Oh, they disappeared. I'm leading. I'm leading.
You inflated your old ball sack and you just frickin' let it eat.
It's all goddamn assholes and elbows, and if you ain't right, they'll send your ass to the rear.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Open Red, the official podcast of the World of Outlaws, NOS Energy Drink Sprint Cars. My name is Rob Blount from Dirt Vision, and alongside of me always, the PR god of the World of Outlaws, Nick Graziano.
I am here. I am back. What's up?
How are you doing?
I am great. I am a little tired, though. I just spent, I think maybe 3 months at Eldora?
Something like that.
Yeah, something like that. But saw some good racing again. It's fun to see sprint cars again. No, I was not at a late model race. I was at a sprint car race this time.
Finally back in
I
our
know,
world.
so I think I'm not going to get fired, I think.
I just want to say, you just said you saw some good racing? That's the understatement of the century.
Yeah.
Saturday night's 37th Kings Royal, which is technically the 38th time that the Kings Royal was run, was freaking spectacular.
It was pretty awesome to stand there and watch that.
It's easily in the top 5 races I think I've ever seen. Multiple times you've gotten 3 wide for the lead. It was spectacular.
That save that Brad did on the backstretch, I don't know
Oh, it was great.
how he did that.
It was great. And then you have the drama of him being pissed off at his teammate, James McFadden, pulling up alongside of him. Oh, it was
So
awesome.
I was standing up on the Sprint Command Center, and Brad's crew was up there. So when that happened, I'm just watching, and they're just like stone-faced, just watching. and then when Brad went up to James was watching, they're just watching. And then they didn't do anything. Like, okay, what's going to happen here?
Listen, I know that he is the top guy there, obviously. Like, he is the A driver at KKR if you were to go into Formula One terms. But I wouldn't want to go up to James McFadden and try to start anything.
Nah,
especially if I was Brad Sweet.
Yeah.
Listen, Australians have a reputation of being rough and tumble fighters. I mean, their hobby seems to be like wrestling crocodiles, so that would not be a fair fight.
No, you feel pretty brave when you're in the car
Yeah.
because you just see another car that looks like you. But then you get out of the car, then you see the other guy, like, all right, yeah, maybe I'm okay.
No, that the power of that beard would overrun him pretty quick.
Just the beard alone.
But it was awesome.
It would come to life.
Yeah. It was, oh man, that was awesome. That was an incredible moment in itself, in a race that was chock full of incredible moments, in a week that was chock full of incredible moments.
So many.
Going all the way back to Tuesday, now 6 or 7 days ago, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 races ago, I think, if my math is correct. The Brad Doty Classic at Attica Raceway Park on Tuesday was spectacular. Some of the best racing that I've seen all year long at Attica Raceway Park. Congratulations to Spencer Baston on getting his first career World of Outlaws win in the Brad Doty Classic, and he'll actually be joining us here in a little bit to talk about that. Super cool for him. That was a great race. And then, you move on to the next night, the Joker's Wild at Eldora Speedway. The return of the World of Outlaws to Eldora after more than a year off due to the COVID pandemic. And
Well, we had a couple races in May.
Yeah. I'm completely wrong. I forgot about those.
Return for Kings Royal Week at Eldora.
Listen, I'm not going to lie. This is going to sound like a poor excuse, but that day I was asking not hardest, but the most nerve-wracking question of my life in proposing to my longtime girlfriend, Catherine, that day. So everything else that happened that day and that weekend was a complete blur.
That's fair.
Completely forgot anything happened. So
We'll allow it this time.
thank you, Nick. I appreciate it. But yeah, I don't even know how I did forget about it, to be honest with you. I told you, that's such a crappy excuse. I was here the night before when we tried to restart the race at like 2 a.m.
Yeah, that was that one we had to run 2 in one day again.
Yeah, 2 in 1 day seems to be a theme with the World of Outlaws at Eldora Speedway this year. Which, hey, while it was not an ideal scenario, the rain gave us a massively historic day in having 2 Kings Royals in
On the
one
same
day. $175,000 to the winner times 2 in 1 day.
That'll probably never happen again.
I don't
I was
think
thinking
so.
about that when I was standing. I'm like, I don't think we'll ever see 2 Kings Royals in the same day again. Obviously, it can happen. There's rain, but I don't think so anytime soon.
I don't think so. I mean, hey, next year they're going back to just having 1 Kings Royal with the return of the historical big one as part of that week. So that's super cool in itself. But yeah, I mean, the Joker's Wild was spectacular. Carson Macedo took the win on that night. Then you get rained out on Thursday for the 38th Kings Royal. Then you get rained out on Friday for the night before. The night before becomes the morning after. And then, as we said, 2 Kings Royals in 1 day, and both were awesome. I mean, Saturday's day race, the 38th Kings Royal, is about the best day race you could ever ask for. And then the nighttime was spectacular.
And I don't think nobody means this as an insult in any way, but I think we all said when we looked at the lineup, the feature lineup for the 30th Kings Royal, I think we all said, okay, I think maybe Brad can get it or so-and-so can get it. I don't think anybody of us actually thought it was going to be Tyler Courtney. Not in a bad way. Like, obviously, super cool to see it happen, but I think it was just like, wait, what?
Yeah. Things have obviously been super busy, so scheduling didn't work out to allow us to try to get Tyler or Kyle in addition to Spencer for today's show, but I would love to get the chance to ask Tyler if even Tyler Courtney expected Tyler Courtney to
Yeah,
win that
exactly. Which in the media center after, because they bring the winners to the media center there and for media to do interviews, obviously, you could just see in his face like he had no idea like what was going on, where he was, kind of deal,
I mean, I don't blame him at all. I mean, When Ross was still part of this show, we had Tyler on, I think in October or something last year, just as he was really starting to get more into his winged racing. And he told us then the goal was to, maybe get a couple of wins in 2021, but just keep learning because it was so different from the rest of his background. And, I mean, the month of July, he's rattled off a handful of All-Stars wins, I believe, and then now he goes and wins the $175,000 as the 38th Kings Royal winner. It's incredible.
It's, I think, I don't know who it was, but during all the victory lane ceremonies with him, someone went up to him and said, hey, we'll see you in the Outlaws next year.
I hope so. It was super, super cool to see him win. And, the only downside to him winning, and there's really no downside as a fan, but if you look at it from a perspective of someone like a David Gravel or someone like that, who finished second to him and put up as hard of a fight as you could put up without just taking the guy out to score the win.
Well, he crossed the line second.
Crossed the line second, was light at the scales by, 4 pounds?
Yeah, something really small. And Tyler was 1 pound above what you're supposed to be. I think it's 14.25, so he was 14.26.
That I didn't recall hearing. Yeah. Wow, that's incredible. So David crosses the line second and then finishes wherever he ended up finishing. But I mean, for someone like that who's been in 9 or 10 of these things now, and then here comes sunshine. First time ever in the Kings Royal. I'm just going to win this race. No big deal. It's like when Trevor Bayne won the Daytona 500. You've got Tony Stewart, who was trying to win it for 16 years, never won it. And he's like, guys, this isn't that hard.
Yeah, first time. Boom. Winner.
This isn't that hard. Why are you struggling so much? Tyler Courtney's like, yeah, this isn't that hard. It's really easy to win $175,000. So you guys just got to do what I did.
But really, if you look at Tyler's stats, he's kind of a veteran at Eldora. Between all the Silver Crown races and midget races. I think that was his 10th win overall at the track.
That's crazy. Dude is How fitting was it, by the way, to have a kid whose nickname is Sunshine win a day race Kings Royal? It's awesome.
It made for some a nice write-up.
Right? Everything about I made my my headline for the or my caption, I guess, for his social replay of him winning super easy.
I bet, yeah.
It made everything easy for all of us. But man, I mean, what an awesome day. Awesome week, like we said. An awesome conversation with Spencer Bayston, looking back at his win at the Brad Doty Classic, as we said, last Tuesday night at Attica Raceway Park. That was a ton of fun, and we're going to get to that next. But before we do, we're going to give you a quick word from our friends at Manscaped, because if you didn't get the message, we're recording this on July 19th. If you somehow didn't get the message by now, you need to know that summer is here, and we hope that you're ready to unveil your beach body. And if you are, you're in luck, because our friends at Manscaped just launched their 4th generation performance package, which includes the Lawnmower 4.0. Yes, Nick, you heard that right. The 4.0. Complement your summer bod with a trim from the leaders in male grooming. The sun is shining and calling your name, fellas, so join the 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped and get ready for Hot Guy Summer by going to manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping with the promo code
OpenRed20.
That is right. The promo code is OpenRed20. You get 20% off your purchase plus free shipping if you go to manscaped.com and use the promo code OpenRed20. That is, one more time, 20% off plus free shipping with the code OpenRed20 at manscaped.com. Escape the shrubs and weeds this summer and shine with Manscaped. And
what are
now,
we getting ready for?
Hot Guy Summer.
Yeah, we
Nick. I'm going to Long Island this week, probably going to the beach, and you damn right it's Hot Guy Summer.
There you go.
Now,
Leave
with
it at
further
that.
ado, here's Spencer Bayston joining us this week on Open Red.
And joining us today is recent first-time World of Outlaws winner, Spencer Bayston. Spencer, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, first off, like I mentioned, congratulations on that win. It was pretty cool. Always cool to see first-time winners in that fashion, too. Just kind of talk about what it was like just getting that win, what the emotions were going through your head in those final few laps.
Oh, my gosh. It was it was a deal where, we showed up at Attica and, excuse me, obviously, rain was rolling in and everyone was kind of already loaded up, just waiting for the cancellation. But, the storms never seemed to hit and, sun started shining, rolled the cars out. So, from the get-go, it's kind of an odd feeling, just being there and obviously getting to race, because at one point, I think we all thought we were about to head out. So once we got going, obviously we had some good speed right out of the gate, and just to be able to get your first Outlaw win is massive. But then again, with it being the Brad Doty Classic, with the full field of cars, there was 40 some cars there that night, and it just, to get that first one out of the way and for it to be a special one, it's a day that I will always remember, and a day I will always be able to look back on and be really proud of.
As a racer, how much does it mean to win that race? I mean, for as an outsider, you look at that race and you're like, okay, it pays $10,000 to win. It's pretty much like, like any other race. That's a pretty normal payday. But that race always seems to draw a ton of cars, and you always hear guys talking about how much it means to win that race because of Brad, because of the racer that he was. So, from your perspective, how much does it mean to win that particular race?
Oh gosh, it's I said it in my interview after of the legacy of Brad Doty. He not only had a career in motorsports as a driver, he had a career outside of motorsports. He's been a huge promoter of the sport in the industry. Obviously, he's always had a great face of the sprint car world, and to be able to carry on his legacy years after his racing career ended is pretty cool for him to then be able to put on a race at the famed Attica Raceway Park and be able to draw that big of a crowd. That many drivers want to be there in support of him, and to be able to try to go race on and win his race. That's what makes it truly special to me. It's a deal where I'd say 2 years ago I would go to that race and just pray that I could even make the show. Now looking at us a couple weeks or last week, being able to win it is just it's crazy. how things change. And, when you're surrounded by really good people like, Mike McGee and Kathy McGee and their program that they have with Kevin and Sammy, they give you all the tools you need. And in order to be able to go compete at a facility like that with a group like the Outlaws and everyone that was involved, everything has to line up, and it sure did. And it all worked out.
I know you also mentioned, I believe they mentioned in the interview, that you were thinking of maybe stepping away from racing, maybe at least just in a full-time fashion. What made you come to those decisions, and is that still on the table? Are you still maybe looking at that, or you think you can take off with it now?
I think things have maybe changed here in the last few weeks, but it was a deal where 2019, I really tried to branch out. And branch out as in, getting hired by teams to, race on a full-time basis where, they're hiring you based on your funding. This sport has turned in such a financial position, which, I've been part of that in the early part of my career. But obviously looking at it as a career aspect, having to provide funding for some of these rides, it's hard to justify, making a career out of it. So in 2019, I tried to really make the transition, and these last couple of years since then have been tough because of the position you're in, trying to enter a team, and you're only bringing your seat and your steering wheel. So it's been a little bit of a struggle the last couple of years, and I think it got to the point where I thought maybe I need to look into other business ventures that could support me financially, and then hopefully get to race a little bit here and there on the side. So I think my focus kind of shifted in the direction of making sure I can provide and make a good living outside, so I can go in and have some fun driving sprint cars rather than having to stress and fret over what car I'm in and how many races do I get to run, how much do I get to make, that kind of thing. So when Rodman said that, it was kind of a deal where I talked to him, and he was we had that conversation right in the midst of my struggles. And there for a little bit, I thought maybe I just need to go try to find a little part-time deal just to get my racing fix in, because I love running sprint cars so much. It's hard to make a career out of it. But obviously, with an opportunity like Mike gave me with the 11, that's a deal where he calls and he hires someone based on their ability in the seat. And he believes in drivers and his team, and his son, runs a great program, and gives us all the tools we need to be successful. And we went out and proved that we can be successful. So it's riding on a little high right now. We've been really, really good. Car's been phenomenal. I feel like I've been driving at a high level in comparison to my last couple of years. So it feels really good. Everything's kind of coming together.
So was Tuesday last week just like a massive sigh of relief for you, like getting that monkey off of your back, kind of, after going through those struggles, you kind of get to remind yourself, I can do this. I've known I can do this, but now I have that reminder.
I think so, because, through those, it seems like mostly every driver at some point in their career, whether it's early, whether it's late in their career, right in the middle, you go through one, or, you go through a span where you are struggling and you're questioning yourself as, do I really belong? Can I really do it? Do I have what it takes, kind of thing? And to be able to go out and win an Outlaw race, it is a big sigh of relief, because, not only winning, sharing before that and then going back up with the Outlaws, it makes you feel like, okay, it takes all questions out of your head. You hear things from people on Twitter and, in the pits or whatever, but just between you and yourself, kind of thing, now, okay, I can do it. I need to have all the tools that it takes to be successful. And you feel like you can now sit down at the round table and, at least have the confidence to go out and compete. Obviously, I'm a long ways away from a lot of these guys that are winning Outlaw races, but just to be able to get that monkey off your back and feel like you can, take a deep breath and now relax a little bit and go out and just run hard and have fun. It's a really, really good feeling.
I feel like another confidence builder for you too is not just that you won the race, but if you look at who you beat, right behind you there is the two-time and defending series champion Brad Sweet. In rounding out the podium is the guy second in points who now has 7 wins on the year, Carson Macedo. 4th, no slouch either, 10-time champion Donnie Schatz. And then 5th is someone else who's in the top 5 in Outlaws points, Logan Schuchart. So it's not like you just went and won a race, but you went and beat the best of the best to go and win that race too.
Yes, absolutely. And it made it feel like it wasn't a fluke because, we had some late race restarts where, the amount of times I felt like I've sat at home and watched Dirt Vision and, watch Brad or Logan or Carson or Donnie take a late race lead on a restart. It seems like that happens all the time. So that's obviously was running through the back of my head. And I felt like we were good enough to get out and run away. Like we did, as long as I just didn't screw up my restarts. And I felt like we hit on all cylinders. Our first half a lap of every restart seemed really, really good. And it, was crucial. Obviously, those cautions fell timely to avoid some traffic. But, when you bunch up the field like that, you never know what's going to happen. So it was, when that checkered flew and I crossed the finish line, it was just the overwhelming amount of joy and just satisfaction that we did it. It's my first Outlaw win. It's Mike McGee, Kathy McGee, Sam, Kevin. It's their first Outlaw win. So to be able to enjoy that with those group of great people, with my family, family that's been supporting me through my entire career, it feels really, really good.
Now, how did you get hooked up with those guys? Is it a deal they just call you and say, hey, do you want to come drive for us for a few races, or we have this plan for the rest of the year, or is it you reaching out to them?
No, they called me. It was a deal. I've talked with Mike and Sam before, obviously in years past. We're all from Indianapolis area, so I've seen them around, at races, and then, swung by the shop every now and then just to check in, see how they're doing. But it was a deal where I think they were feeling the push to make a change. And, I was at the top of their list, and, they called and asked if I'd be willing to consider running some races with them at the end of this year. And then, things moved along a little quicker than expected. And it was kind of an overnight deal of texting, calling, seeing if I could be there the next day. And so we packed everything up and took a chance and went with it. And obviously, looking back now, it's probably one of the better decisions I've made. And it, everything falls into place.
Definitely. And obviously you guys kind of took off running since you got in that car. Looked like it was maybe a little bit of learning curve just to get the few races together, getting your feet underneath you. But now it seems like you're just kind of on a roll. Obviously you got the win, and then had some decent runs during the races at Eldora, finished 4th yesterday. So has it been easy to just start clicking with these guys, or did it take some time to maybe just kind of learn each other?
Yeah, I think it took a little bit of time. Our first 2 races were pretty good. We got won our second race at Muskegon. But then we went through a little stretch there where I felt like we were just kind of average, and we were trying a few different things. Kevin was trying to get back to a baseline that he was comfortable with, and that seemed to suit me well. So we took a few nights there to kind of try some things and figured out some things work better than others. And coming into Sharon, a place that they've always had a lot of success at, I knew we were going to be fast. I felt like at that point we had kind of sorted through quite a bit of different types of balances on the race car. So I felt like our notebook was pretty stout by the time we got to Sharon, and the confidence level that the car was going to be good. I was able to go out and drive to my full ability, and then obviously winning that, and then Attica, another place that I've had a decent amount of laps at. I got my first All-Star win there. Kevin and Sam have had, multiple wins there in the past. So it was kind of a deal where I think we had ironed out all the minor differences that we needed to have, and then, plugged it all in and went out in 2 races back to back were really good, and then carried that over to Eldora. Eldora was a deal where it's a place that I've never really been that comfortable at in terms of racing in a wing car. It's a deal where it's, the air there is different when it gets slick, and, the just discomfort of a high-speed place like that up against the fence when you don't know what your car's going to do. But my gosh, I've looking at it now, it's like it's almost a deal. It's just another racetrack to me because of how comfortable I was. They had the car so glued into the racetrack that I was able to drive with confidence and, being aggressive and making moves. So through these last few weeks, I felt like we've done a great job and excelled our process in terms of getting the car where I needed to be and where it has speed, and it's truly shown.
You talk of your comfort level at a place where in the past you said you're typically uncomfortable. At what point as a driver do you start to feel that comfort level? Like, was it in hot laps, like, okay, wow, this car is really comfortable, or was it at some point in the heats? And then how does that change your mentality of how you go about attacking the track the rest of the day or night?
I'm maybe different than others, but at a place like Eldora, when you're in hot laps and qualifying, you're pretty locked down. Tracks usually has some grip. You're by yourself, so you're in clean air. It's really those first couple laps of the heat race where you get to see where your car's at, racing around other cars, behind cars in dirty air. So once I felt that balance, obviously we're good in hot laps and qualifying, felt sturdy and strong. But then, through the heat race, just be able to have that comfort of your car's going to handle. I think we went 6th to 4th in our first heat race or whatever it was. To just have that confidence. Okay, my car is secured, stuck. I know what it's going to do. When I enter in behind someone, I know how to handle it, and I know it's not going to do anything crazy. It takes all question out of your head, and then you can just go race. So once we got that first heat race out of the way, I felt like then we were just kind of on attack mode all weekend. Had some good runs through the field. Obviously, a little misfortune running out of fuel on the day race, running 22nd to 5th, but just to have that in the back of our head that, man, we can drive by some of these guys, and we've got our car good enough that I can race with them and race up front. It was something we could be really proud of walking away.
Is that something that's almost a confidence builder, just like a win? Just knowing when you have a car like that you can go and compete with those guys and just run with them. And does it take away any thought that maybe one of those kind of like, can I do this? Can I not do this kind of thing? Then knowing you can do this when you get the car that you need.
Yes, and with it being Kings Royal, that wasn't just a weekly outlaw show at Eldora. It was the Kings Royal. So to be able to have that kind of speed and be that competitive makes you feel like you belong. And I felt like we kind of backed up our win at Attica with a strong finish. I felt like we were one of the few guys that have a really, really consistent week throughout, being good every day and every night that we ran. So like I said, it's something that something to be proud of, and it makes me feel really, really good that we can go back to Mike and Kathy, who made the decision to bring me in and give me a shot, to be able to make them feel like hopefully they made the right decision, and we can carry on this and keep building, and hopefully we can keep going out and winning races.
I want to go back to again the comfort level thing, and when you noticed that, like, I remember when I used to play hockey, I'm on the ice for 35, 40 seconds at a time, but I'm having a full conversation in my own head of where I got to be and what I got to do, and a milliseconds basically. You're ripping around Eldora running, like I can't remember what it is now, like 13 and a half, 14 second laps there, flying around one of the fastest tracks that sprint cars go to. How slow does a lap feel in your own head? Like, are you talking to yourself, having the sort of realization like, oh, that's different, that's more comfortable than I'm used to here, now I can attack it differently? Like, what's going on in your head over the course of a lap or an 8-lap heat race?
Well, for me, it all depends on how good your car is. I've been there in times where my car was not good, and it is a deal where you feel like you're going Mach 1. You feel like you can't hardly see. You're, out of control. You don't even have time to think about, racing guys around you. And then looking at it now of a week where my car was really stout and really stuck, I felt like, man, it's almost slow motion to where I can really think about what I'm doing and pick out, differences in my laps and the balance and angle of the car, and where we need to get better. And when your car is good, it slows down. So I guess if you're comfortable on the ice And, with moving around and you've been there, done that kind of thing, you're probably able to dissect things a little better than if it's your first time and it's just high speed, high paced game. And, you're just kind of frantic. So I would say, with the comfort and stability of the car, I felt like it was slowed down and I could really think about what I was doing. And I felt like that really showed in the results.
Do you feel like this is almost like coming home, almost like even not just in the car, but just with your situation in general now? I know you've raced for a lot of different teams and owners, got the chance with Roth last year for a little while. But now with this, do you feel like you're somewhere comfortable that you have some stability and will be for a little bit?
Absolutely. I mean, this is the last half of the year, the races that we'll be running. This is the most consecutive races I've ran in a whole season. I think, the deal is I've never really ran a full-time wing sprint car season. I think the most I've ever ran in 1 year was like 35 races. So, to be able to go just back to back in the same car, travel with the series with the same group of people and really build on something, I think it will grow some more legs as the season goes on, just because you have that reoccurring relationship and bond with everyone in the car, and my confidence level then goes up because I'm not constantly switching, my seat around in different cars with different motors and chassis and crew chiefs that all give different feel and feedback. So to be able to just build on one thing right now is huge for me. And, the seat time that I'm going to get throughout the end of this year is going to be extremely valuable.
So what other races can we expect to see you at with us?
Well, I will. I'm running the full All-Star schedule, of course, and finish out that with them, and then on and off with whatever we can run with the Outlaws. We're going to be there, whatever makes sense. Obviously, this week we're not going to be out in Lernerville and the Grove, but following the All-Star races coming up, they've got I think we've got Peevely, and then the whole Knoxville deal, and then we have some more All-Star races through the end of August, and then pretty much I think we don't have an off weekend until after World Finals. I think we're going to try to run every single weekend through that, and that the amount of laps I'll be able to get, and we'll be able to run a lot more World Outlaw races, which I really enjoy. So I think we pretty much hit everything that we can around our All-Star schedule with the Outlaws.
When they called you and hired you and said they wanted you to drive the car, did they tell you did they come in expecting something from you? Did they have an expectation of how to perform? I'm sure that's helped a lot with getting the win already, but was there certain goals that they wanted to hit?
Not that they said. I think it was probably a deal where, I'm sure, that an owner is not going to invest into a program and, devote time and effort and, their livelihood into a sport without expecting results. Mm-hmm. So I think it was a deal where, they kind of, brought me in and said, hey, just go out and run as well as you can and build as much as possible and see where it ends up. Where obviously, they want you to go out and perform, but I felt like we did it right, and Mike didn't really put any pressure on me to go out and just win races and be fast right out of the gate. He understands. He's been part of the sport for a long time, that it does take time, and it does, different cars and different crew chiefs, that we all work different together. So the most important thing for an owner is providing the resources that a team needs in order to be successful. And we absolutely have that. We've shown that. They do everything right in terms of giving me a car that I am comfortable in and trust with really good equipment, and a crew chief with Kevin that knows what he's doing. And then obviously Sammy there helping with the engines. I feel like we all have our part, and we do everything the same every night, and building that relationship, I think, is huge. So I don't know if there's any huge expectations getting in. I like to think maybe we exceeded those expectations a little bit, but now that we've accomplished what we've accomplished, I think we got to now keep on chugging. We can't get comfortable and content with where we're at. We needed to keep getting better and keep going out and competing and making that statement.
So with kind of having in mind that they never voiced their own expectations or goals before the season started, if the season was to end today, would you and the team look back on the 2021 year and say this year has been a success?
I would like to think so. Yeah, I'm glad it's not ending today because I'm excited to keep going and racing. But I think so. I think as fast as we have shifted, how we've gotten around the racetrack and my comfort level. I just know here in the last 4 weeks of the change that I've felt in the seat has been amazing. It's been a really, really good sensation just having that confidence again to go out and drive hard and be aggressive. And I'd like to think that, the speed that we've shown at some really, really big events here in the last few weeks it gives us enough to be content with, but it also makes us more hungry. So I know we're going to go out guns a-blazing and keep firing away and see where we end up.
I got one more for you, Spencer, because I was thinking about it before when you said after you took the checkered at Attica on Tuesday, you were just overcome with joy. One of the things that we as people not in the race car don't get to experience along with the winner is the emotions that comes on the cool down lap after a race, like you do kind of on the pavement side of racing or the NASCAR side, because there is no two-way radio. So we don't hear you like yelling to the team like, yeah, we got it done. So like for you, you're in that very isolated moment of just you and your emotions. Walk us through what it was like from the time that you took the checkered to getting to the scales to finally getting to victory lane and then getting to climb out and celebrate with your team in front of a packed Attica Raceway Park.
Oh man, it's a moment I wish I could live through every day, because I know any driver that's been in that position knows just that. It's just all of a sudden just runs through your whole body, and it's just like, oh my gosh, it's just, you just take a deep breath, and it feels, it's just, I mean, it's honestly the greatest feeling ever. And that, like you said, I'm in there by myself. I don't have a radio. I'm not communicating with anyone in those few seconds after the race is over of that cool down lap of just looking up in the stands and just taking it all in and just that, like I said, overwhelming amount of excitement, joy, almost not knowing what happened kind of type of feeling of that was just so insane and unrealistic in your own head. But then the satisfaction of rolling across the scales and being good, and then rolling on the horse track in front of the packed stands and jumping up on the wing. It's just, it's a day that I will always remember. And it's a day that, I hope everyone at some point gets to experience, because it is truly one of the greatest feelings ever.
Now, one thing we also don't usually get to hear is when everybody goes and does the podium photo. Was there anything Brad and Carson maybe said to you in that maybe you'll take away from that too?
Carson and I, we've been close for a few years now, ever since our KKM days. So he was very excited for me. He's went through this whole ordeal, obviously a couple years earlier, but so he knows what it's like. Brad, he's an ultra competitive person, so that's kind of a good job. And I said, were you close? And he didn't look at me. He said, you were good. So that was enough for me to feel okay. So, I knew he was hungry and ready to get to Eldora and go chase some big bucks. But, being able to look at the results and see those cars, 4 or 5 cars that were right behind me, and to know we were on top for that one night is, it's really, really cool.
I love Brad, but for some reason the last few weeks I've been like visualizing him as this like either cartoon villain or movie villain. Like last week I compared him to Thanos and said like he's just been inevitable, especially in Wisconsin. So I kind of had this like expectation that he was just going to be like, you darn kid, I'll get you next time or something. But hey, that's even better that he was just like, nah, you're good. You were good.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think in the back of his head maybe he was that villain. But no, in Victory Lane, obviously, we've all been there. Yeah. We all know what it's like, and the congratulation texts and tweets and people coming up for the days following. Some really, really cool individuals that truly know what it means to be able to go win your first Outlaw race. That was one of the coolest parts. Honestly, it was just the overwhelming amount of people that reached out and that congratulated us and kind of patted us on the back and say, well, you did it. Congrats, you're here now, kind of thing. So that's really cool.
That does sound awesome. Well, on behalf of both of us here, Spencer, congratulations on the win last week and some really strong runs at Eldora as well over those, what was it, four days of racing?
Felt like 2 weeks.
The 2 weeks of Eldora Speed Weeks. It's all blended together there. But thank you so much for joining us. Congratulations again on the win,
Definitely.
and good luck the rest of the season.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Big thanks to Spencer Baston for joining us this morning and this week to revisit a race that happened a little while ago now, a week ago at Attica Raceway Park, like we said before. Super cool that he got the job done, got the win that night. You know, the Brad Doty Classic, as he said, even though it's, you know, if you kind of look at it by pay, it's just like any other race. But it's not. It's a really big, meaningful race that racers really want to win in honor of a fellow racer in Brad Doty.
You got a really cool helmet, too. Did you see that helmet that they won?
I didn't.
Yeah, you got to look that up. It's a nice replica Brad Doty helmet that he got. It's really cool.
Okay, I saw a picture of that on display, but I didn't realize that they were getting it.
yeah.
That's awesome. That's really awesome.
I want to enter just to try and win it now.
Good luck.
Yeah.
I enjoyed hearing the way he spoke of finding his comfort at a place like Eldora and even at Attica as well, and just hearing how much the lap time for him slows down in his eyes and in his mind when you get that comfort level. I thought that was really enlightening.
Yeah, it's just that level of focus when you're just so in tuned with it and just everything's clicking. You don't feel at all that you're going as fast as you are.
It
just feels like a Sunday drive.
It makes you understand why someone like Sheldon Hodenshield or Kyle Larson are able to make the moves that they make, where we all look at it and go, oh my God, how did they pull that off? But for them, they're like, I'm just going to turn it to the left here and turn underneath them and wave at them as I go by. And, oh, those are nice flowers that they have over there
Pretty
instead
much.
of turn one, because it sounds like that's how much the lap time slows down for them, which is crazy to think about from someone who's never gotten to sit behind the wheel of a race car.
It's kind of like, I think, almost anything you're doing. If you're uncomfortable with any situation, like it's just like you're constantly thinking, like nothing feels like it's going right. It's the same with driving a car. It's hard to get to drive the way you need it to drive it when you're just not comfortable in it. But when you're comfortable, anything you're comfortable with and you're just doing, you just kind of get in that zone.
It was super cool to hear. And also really cool to hear his breakdown, I thought, of like the cool down lap and the isolated emotions. Like you just want to get out and celebrate with someone, but you got to cross the scales and make sure it's even official.
Yeah.
Because as we learned, if David Gravel would have gotten by Tyler Courtney on Saturday, he wouldn't have won the 38th Kings Royal anyway.
Yeah. If Tyler Courtney didn't have that burger before the race, he might not have got it either.
The pizza burger comes in handy. But, yeah, super cool. Thank you, Spencer Baston, for joining us. We'll take a look here at the finish from Tuesday night's Brad Doty Classic at Attica Raceway Park. Obviously, as we said, Spencer Baston got the win from the third starting position, picked up the $10,000 check, and apparently a really badass-looking helmet. As we mentioned in the interview with him, he held off Brad Sweet to take that victory. Carson Macedo rounded out the podium in third, charged up from seventh. We say charged up. You got to talk about the guy right after that, finished in fourth. That's Donnie Schatz, came all the way from the 22nd starting position to lock up the KSE Hard Charger Award. Fifth place was Logan Schuhart. He actually led pretty early, led laps 1 through 3, and then laps 6 and 7 before fading a little bit back to fifth. James McFadden finished 6th. Tyler Courtney finished 7th. Sheldon Hodenshield in 8th. Cap Henry in 9th, and David Gravel rounded out the top 10. The points following this race before heading down the road to Eldora Speedway for the Jokers Wild. Brad Sweet still atop, of course. Carson Macedo second, 142 out. David Gravel third, 148 back. Sheldon Hodenshield fourth, and Logan Schuhart in fifth. Now, we move on to Speed Weeks at Eldora.
Yes.
Because that's what it ended up feeling like. The Joker's Wild was, what was that, Wednesday night?
It
right?
was a wild Wednesday.
Wild Wednesday indeed. This is why you're a writer. That was good. That was quick to come up with that. Did you use that anywhere before that?
I did not, but I will in the future now.
That was pretty good. As we mentioned, I believe at the start of the show, Carson Macedo got the win in the Joker's Wild from the 6th starting position. Brian Brown finished in 2nd. David Gravel rounded out the podium. Kerry Madsen in 4th. Aaron Reitzel 5th. Ian Madsen in 6th. Rico Abreu 7th. Brent Marks 8th. And Paul McMahon 9th, with Kyle Larson rounding out the top 10. Brad Sweet finished 11th. Sheldon Haudenschild 12th. Donnie Schatz 13th. Gio Scelzi with I would say an average run there, but when you think about the quality of the field there, that's a really strong run as well. In 14th, Spencer Basin in 15th. And the lap leaders on this night, there was only one.
Just one.
Just one. Carson Macedo led laps 1 through 25.
I think that
Which is incredible because he started in 6th.
Yeah, that's he had quite the run.
Did this actually happen, or is there a typo? I can't remember this now because it's so far back.
I'm like, wait a minute.
I feel like we've run so many races since then that I can't remember when he actually took the lead. But I feel like
that race was like 2 weeks ago.
I know. I feel like there's no way he went from 6th to 1st in one lap, and I don't actually remember that happening. Because I read that and it sounded off to me, and then I looked at your face and I could tell that sounded off to you as well. And we're not going to cut this crap out either. We're going to leave this in.
All right, go to results. We're gonna do some detective work right now.
Okay.
And do something that should just remember, but I can't remember. It's not in my head. Let's go to the dash.
To the dash. To the dash. We're getting there. We're slowly getting there. Brian Brown won the dash.
All right, yeah. Carson finished 6th. He went from 6th to lead in first lap.
Really?
I don't know why I don't remember that. Probably because it felt like it was 2 weeks ago, but yeah. All right, yes. Carson had a great run that night at the Joker's Wild. It was a wild Wednesday for Carson Macedo.
Looking back on this, it's an absolutely incredible first lap, and now I'm trying to figure out how I don't remember this. How is this possible that we don't remember this at all? I'm pulling up the highlights here, Nick. We're gonna continue our detective work. How does YouTube even work?
That white thing with like the square things, you push them and it brings up letters.
We're close here. We're close. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Oh, the video restarted. Why did it do that? Oh, I actually tried to skip this part, and then I brought the volume up, and then it restarted.
Nice Energy Drink logo there.
Right? Okay, here we go. The start of the race. Brian Brown, Paul McMahon lead the field to the green flag. We are underway at Eldora Speedway. Okay, he's already in second.
And there he goes to the lead.
Holy crap! Okay, that was not talked about enough, is the fact that he went from 6th to 1st, using lessons learned from his father to lead the first lap. That was unreal. I don't remember that at all.
I don't know how.
How did we all just gloss over the fact that he pulled that off? So Carson Macedo started 6th and led laps 1 through 25 in the Joker's Wild on Wednesday night. And that's now up there as probably the best first lap that anyone's had all season long.
Yeah, he just said, "Excuse me, coming through. Thanks. Bye."
That was incredible. If you could see our faces right now, we are both just blown away by the fact
I'm trying to remember, what was I doing Wednesday night?
Right, how do we not remember this? We are both just blown away by the fact that we actually don't remember this happening, and also blown away by how impressive it was.
It's like, oh yeah, that happened.
He started second. Like, he took the lead so quickly and easily, you're like, he must have been right there. But no, Paul McMahon started second.
Man,
Carson Macedo, on behalf of myself and Nick here, we would like to sincerely apologize for completely glossing over this, because you deserve a lot more respect than you are currently getting from the two of us right now for forgetting that you just made a badass move on lap 1 of the Joker's Wild.
So this ties into what I was going to say, that it feels like Carson is on a pretty good run.
Yeah. Yeah, he is.
And they found something, and they could be a pretty good contender for Brad here, maybe.
He's not letting him get away. He's doing his darndest to keep it as close as possible.
I know he would have loved to have had these wins be the Kings Royals, but in a better sense, these wins have helped him gain a little bit of points on Brad.
I mean, he got the win on this Wild Wednesday, while Brad Sweet finished 11th. So that gained him a pretty good amount of points right there.
Yeah, I think he's after Sunday's win. I think there's not under 100 yet, but he's pretty close to getting there.
It's much closer than it was the last time we recorded.
Yeah, it's not like 140 or whatever.
I mean, we were pretty much set to write this thing off, and Carson's like, "Hey, don't forget about us here at Jason Johnson Racing. We're still in this thing."
Oh, how about this? He entered the year with 6 wins in total. Now he has 7 wins.
Yeah, spectacular.
Equaled and exceeded his win record so far.
In barely half a season.
Yes.
I mean, listen.
I think we'll also see him reach double-digit wins this year.
I mean, at this point, I feel like that's a pretty safe bet.
Yeah.
Like, I think you'd be dumb not to take that bet. I mean, the last time we said that, it didn't actually work out that well. But
hey, we're at least not saying he's going for a milestone or first win or something like that. So whether he gets it or not, he at least has 7 wins already.
I mean, he's got like 39 races to pull off 3 more. So, which we're foreshadowing this a little bit here. This win was actually his 6th of the season. So maybe Tyler Courtney gets another one here. Or I said Tyler Courtney. I mean Carson Macedo. I am putting 0 respect on Carson Macedo's name today, and I am so sorry. It's been a really long week, and we're all kind of sleep deprived here.
A little bit. I woke up, but then I did not actually wake up. So when I actually woke up, I'm like, oh, I need to go now.
Same. Same. I did the exact same thing this morning, and then I'm like, I've got my hat on, I got my keys in my hand, and I'm looking at my bed, and I'm like, that looks really nice. I want to go back to it. But we're not, because
we've got more races to talk about.
We've got more races to talk about here. So, yeah, lap leaders, as we said, Carson Macedo led laps 1 through 25. The KSE Hard Charger Award belongs to Kyle Larson for gaining 11 spots on the evening. However, I think that should have been given to Carson for lap 1, but that's not how this award works. And I know this, but damn.
Yeah.
By the way, Kyle Larson finished in 10th, started 21st. That's where his 11 positions gained came from. As we mentioned, the points following the Joker's Wild, Brad Sweet was the points leader over Carson Macedo by 120 markers. David Gravel in 3rd, trying to not let this thing slip away either, 132 points back. Sheldon Hodenshield is 4th, 224 points out, and Donnie Schatz 5th, 244 points out. Then we move on to 2 races where, as they would say on Whose Line Is That Anyway, the points don't matter.
No.
Because
they show up points.
It was the King's Royal Day.
Anything can happen, and points don't matter.
Yeah.
Was that the line?
No, it was where the rules are made up,
yes,
and the points don't matter.
No, we won't go down that road.
Well, I mean, listen. It depends on the context that you take it. Realistically, all rules are made up.
That's fair. That's true.
Right?
They're made up at some point in history, yes.
Exactly. They were all made up at some point. So, I mean...
Well, I mean...
If you want to take it in a negative
context, the format was made up, so...
That's true, too.
There you go.
Exactly. The rules are made up. The points don't matter.
Kings Royal. Who's winning?
Who's Kings Royal?
Who's winning anyway?
Okay, so we ran the 38th Kings Royal first on Saturday afternoon.
What a time travel. 38th Kings
Right.
Royal, 37th Kings Royal, then the night before the Kings Royal, after the Kings Royal.
That part was hilarious. That part was really, really funny. If you were like me and didn't understand why the 38th Kings Royal was taking place before the 37th, I finally understood it as we actually got into Kings Royal week. Apparently, last year when the 37th Kings Royal was called off due to the pandemic, they rescheduled that one for Saturday, July 17th. Then decided at some point over the wintertime, maybe early spring, let's just have two. We didn't have one last year, so let's have a second one. However, all of the ticket holders from the 37th were told they're coming on July 17th. So if they were going to have a second one, it was either going to be after or before it. But you've already got these other 3 nights of racing, right? So then they added on Thursday the 38th Kings Royal. That's why the 38th was before, because it was actually scheduled after the 37th was rescheduled. Hopefully that makes sense to you. It was really just to allow the ticket holders from the 37th to come on the date that they were originally rescheduled to go to. So therefore, as the microphone almost falls into Nick's face here because he stepped on the stand a little bit, that was hilarious.
Saved it.
Wish you all could have saw that. That is why the 38th Kings Royal took place before the 37th, as it was originally scheduled to run on Thursday, but then was rescheduled to run on Saturday, and then that's why it stayed that way Saturday morning into Saturday evening.
I have a quick way to say all that.
That
Very
wasn't
simply.
quick enough.
Ready? Time travel.
Okay, Hulk. Perfectly not confusing. So yeah, the 38th Kings Royal was run Saturday afternoon, and I know we were aided by the fact that we had a day and a half's worth of rain, but that was a great day show. Excuse me. Now my microphone falls.
We're just all over the place today.
I tried to mute my mic so you wouldn't hear my sneeze, but I'm pretty certain it still came through Nick's, and I'm really sorry about that. I felt that coming throughout that last sentence, and I tried to fight it, and I didn't win.
No. All right, back to Kings Royal.
As I was saying, yes, we were aided by the fact that we had a day and a half's worth of rain that just soaked the place, but track-wise and racing-wise, that was about the best you could ask for out of a day show, I think.
It's pretty decent. I think Brad Sweet might say otherwise because he had a good chance at 2 Kings Royal wins this weekend, but unfortunately had a cut tire while leading.
Yes, that is totally fair. On his behalf, to complain on his behalf. But if you just look at it racing-wise, and even dust-wise too, like once the track slicked off in the feature, or rubbered up rather, visibility was really good, and the racing was really good. It became I'd say in the last 7 to 10 laps a little bit of a 1-lane racetrack, about 2 lanes off the wall, but it was still a good race.
You could definitely tell when guys were trying to save tires and push a little bit because the top 3 were like an accordion the whole time.
Yeah.
They kind of close. When they get to each other, they kind of fall back apart and just they just did that like for the last 20 laps or so until Gravel tried to get around Courtney, but just didn't have enough. But even that was, Tyler said at that point he was running kind of slow. So when he saw Gravel, he was like, oh, I guess maybe just a little more throttle now.
Yeah. It was a fun race, fun time. The only thing I felt that it lacked, and I don't know if it was the daytime caused it, but it just didn't feel 100% like it had that atmosphere that the Kings Royal has, at least not watching through the screen. Whereas later in the evening when we got to the 37th Kings Royal, it felt like from the drop of the green flag from the first heat race until the crowning was over, the atmosphere just fully came through the screen for the Kings
Yeah,
Royal.
for sure. The first one, yeah, maybe just a combination of the day race and just a couple days of rain and just kind of trying to get back into the groove of things. Like it didn't feel like that Kings Royal that I remembered. But like you said, yeah, when we got to the second one, I definitely felt that more.
Yeah. recapping this one real quick, Tyler Courtney starts second, finishes first, is crowned King Sunshine, the 38th, $175,000 richer. Danny Dietrich finishes in second, courtesy of David Gravel being light at the scales. Darren Pittman finishes third. Excuse me, that's a name worth remembering as we get into the evening time, was Darren Pittman finishing third. Bill Baylog finished in fourth. Heck of a run for him from ninth. Sheldon Haudenschild fifth from 23rd. Carson Macedo finished in 6th from 15th. Donnie Schatz finished in 7th. Rico Abreu 8th. Brad Sweet 9th. And Brian Brown 10th. Your lap leaders for the 38th Kings Royal consisted of Tyler Courtney leading laps 1 and 20 through 40. Brad Sweet led everything in between that from laps 2 through 19 before that right rear tire went down. And, of course, going from 23rd to 5th, your KSE Hart Charger Award belongs to Sheldon Haudenschild with a gain of 18 positions. I mentioned Darren Pittman being a name worth remembering as we get to the 37th because he finishes third in the 38th and then fails to make the feature in the 37th.
Yeah, I know they had a drivetrain issue earlier in the day. I think that just really hindered everything for them because he had to come through the C. And I think he made it through the C, but then just couldn't make it through the LCS. It was too bad because I interviewed him after the third place run. He's pretty happy, as I'm sure you could imagine. But then I saw him after the 37th, and he just looked just so defeated. It was complete opposite. It's too bad.
Yeah, I believe it. On the opposite end of that spectrum, Kyle Larson failed to make the field for the 38th Kings Royal, was actually upside down in turn 1 in the last chance showdown for that race. And then not only does he make the feature, obviously, for the 37th later that night, but goes on to become King Kyle, the 37th, and take that victory.
And there were a couple reasons of why that almost didn't happen. One, initially he wasn't going to text Rick about being able to stay. He was just going to him, he was like, I got to go. But then I guess one night Rick texted him something late. He goes, all right, let's give it a try. I guess Rick gave him the okay. So there's almost didn't even run either of them. And then when he flipped in the LCS, something on the chassis broke. I don't know what exactly. I don't think it was super major, but it needed to be rewelded. And he said it was, I believe, Brad's dad or father, a connection to Brad, actually came over and helped weld it back onto the car.
Very cool. The behind-the-scenes things that a lot of us fans and ourselves here watching on the screen don't get to see that you got to see there. So that's really really cool behind-the-scenes story there. As we look at the finish from the 37th Kings Royal, which, as I said at the start of the show, was easily in the top 5 best races I've ever watched in my life. Kyle Larson scores the win from 9th. King Kyle, the 37th, will henceforth be how he is referred to.
Yep. So he instantly wins the Kings Royal, but is not the reigning Kings Royal winner.
How about that?
How about that?
Even though he was the most recent one.
Yep. Nope.
Perfectly not confusing.
Nope. Time travel.
Sheldon Haudenschild was charging late in this one, but just didn't have enough time to catch up to Kyle's 57 machine and has to settle for second and a $20,000 payday. You finish second, you make double what you would normally make for winning an Outlaws race, and you're probably still leaving very pissed off because 20 grand is a long ways off from 175.
Yeah. Just a little bit. I mean, it's a good payday.
Yeah, it is.
I'll take it, but that's a little ways off from 175 for sure.
Even in third is Carson Macedo. He makes $5,000 more than a normal Outlaws race pays to win with 15 grand. And again, a ways off from the win, and you can see why guys do everything they possibly can do to win the Kings Royal, because not only do they want that crown, but that $175,000 deposit is pretty sweet as well. In fourth was King Tyler, the 38th. Tyler Courtney finishes fourth after starting on the pole for this one, and my goodness, did it seem like we were going to see something spectacular on this night that no one had ever done before, because he led laps 1 through 11 after starting on the pole by winning Heat Race 6, and you're sitting there going, there is a legitimate chance that Tyler Courtney is going to leave Eldora Speedway tonight $350,000, Richard.
That was, just we're looking at the heats and knowing like where you could finish, where you can start, depending on where you finish. And I saw he's in the last heat. I'm like, he could start on the pole in this thing. And he wins. Like, yep, he's on the pole for this thing. Right next to Jake Hodenshield, which is pretty cool too.
Which was awesome. Yeah, that was awesome in itself. As we move on here, Brad Sweet finished in 5th. Nice little rebound from his lap 2 spin after contact with his teammate James McFadden. Giovanni Scelzi in 6th. Spencer Baston in 7th. James McFadden 8th. Jacob Allen finished 9th after starting 24th. That is your KSE Hard Charger Award winner right there. What a run for Jacob Allen. Danny Dietrich finishes in 10th. The aforementioned Jack Hodenshield started 2nd, finished in 14th in his last Kings Royal. That to me was when you really got the full Kings Royal atmosphere to shine through, was after Jack won his heat race, Heat 5, which was cool in itself, but that place erupted. And then when he was introduced right at the start of his heat race interview, the place got even louder. Just awesome stuff.
Those are the kind of stories you love to have in an event like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was just perfect.
In the throwback Pennzoil scheme at Eldora Speedway, just awesome. And you know what was really cool, and I don't know which one of our shooters had the shot, but one of our wireless camera guys focused in on Jack and Sheldon during the class photo for this race and filmed them as they walked off of the stage together, and just had this cool kind of private, but obviously not private because it's in front of like 50,000 people moment. It was really, really cool. Like, Jack put his arm around Sheldon, like they walked off the stage together, and it's like it was like the proverbial passing of the torch. Like, my time here at this place that was so good to me is now over. Now it's your turn to go continue to make a name for yourself at this place. And he came so close to doing it. And, I mean, could you imagine how cool that would have been if Sheldon would have pulled off the win, his first Kings Royal win in his dad's last race at Eldora, or last Kings Royal at Eldora?
I think that place would have been even crazier than seeing Kyle Larson win.
I don't know if we would have been able to race on Sunday. I think the place would have burned down.
It might have, yeah. It's just having him finish in 2nd, they were ecstatic.
Yeah. But yeah, that was actually one of my favorite parts of Saturday night, was getting to watch that little moment that the two of them got to have together. And like I said, I don't know if it was Jackson Steele who got the shot or if it was Hank Silver who got the shot, but whichever one it was, kudos to them for thinking of getting that shot, and kudos to our director, Zach Aaron, for taking it live as well. And it was just really, really cool to see.
Kudos to the whole Dirt Vision crew this weekend. A lot of days, a lot of hours. You guys in the studio, them at the track, a lot of stuff going on, and I think we all had a pretty good show.
Yeah, it was. I've been here since the start of the 2019 season, and Saturday was, I think, my most gratifying day of working here. It was an extremely long day. We were on air at 12:45 with our pre-race show for the 38th, and I don't even remember what time we went off air. We didn't go off air at the Kings Royal because while the Kings Royal was happening, we had 3 other shows taking place coming through the Dirt Vision studio here. So we went even later into the evening. I don't think I got home until like 2:30. But the guys at the track putting in the long hours, and then they were all awesome in between the 38th and the 37th, filling 2.5 hours worth, finding compelling content. We had I believe it was Blake Anderson